Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we've got a truly chilling narrative to unpack for you. We're exploring a fascinating and honestly terrifying story that pushes the absolute extremes of human ambition, the crushing weight of desperation, and the gruesome reality of supernatural horror. It's literally a brilliant look at the human psyche, masquerading as a ghost story.
Okay, let's dive into this with a question that sits at the very heart of today's story. How far would you go to change your fate? You know, when life pushes you into a corner and every single door seems completely locked, the human mind can justify almost anything. This explainer explores how sheer, suffocating desperation can lead ordinary people to make the most unthinkable choices imaginable.
Section 1. The Desperation of Poverty. So meet our protagonist, Ajitesh. He lives in Kanpur with his wife Sunita and their 5-year-old son. But he isn't just poor, he is entirely trapped. His cloth godown is failing, and he's just drowning in an endless cycle of loan debt. Now, contrast his daily misery with his older brother, Suresh. Suresh is this wealthy businessman over in Lucknow, living the dream with massive houses and luxury cars. And every time Suresh visits, he offers this condescending pity. It takes a massive psychological toll on Ajitesh, completely corroding his self-worth and fueling a desperate, dangerous need to prove himself at any cost.
This deep-seated feeling of inadequacy sets the perfect stage for our inciting incident. On a cold, foggy winter night, an eerie figure wanders into Ajitesh's neighborhood. It's an old tantric, hunched over, and get this, carrying a live crow on each shoulder. He's walking through the misty streets, just shouting out an offer to change broken fates. I mean, it's bizarre, right? But it plants a very dangerous seed of hope in Ajitesh's sleepless, desperate mind.
Section 2. Ancient Magic versus Modern Guidance.
Before we follow Ajitesh down this dark path, we have to pause and ask a pretty universal question. How do we solve impossible problems? When our own efforts, our friends, and our family just can't offer a way out, where do we turn?
The source draws a really fascinating parallel here. On one side, we have the ancient solution, Ajitesh actively seeking out a street tantric for magical intervention. On the other side, the narrator of our source outlines a very modern equivalent. When faced with confusing financial issues of their own, they turn to digital guidance, specifically using an app called AstroTalk, where an expert named Rajesh used their birth details to provide remedies. Whether it's through ancient mysticism or a modern digital app, the human instinct to seek out specialized external guidance when feeling entirely lost, well, it remains exactly the same.
Section 3. Rules of the KAK Tantra. So, bypassing modern logic entirely, Ajitesh tracks down the ominous tantric to completely rewrite his stars. The old man agrees to help, but introduces him to a very dark discipline known as KAK Tantra. In this lore, crows aren't just birds, they are the messengers of our ancestors. They serve as a literal doorway bridging the world of the living and the world of the dead. It is an incredibly powerful force that can manipulate fate, but it comes with some terrifying demands.
And this brilliantly illustrates the cold, hard instructions of the terrifying ritual. This magic is not a one-time transaction, it is a binding, daily contract. Step 1. Ajitesh must cut his own finger every single morning. Step 2. He must mix his human blood with grain. Step 3. He must feed this bloody mixture to the crows without fail. It's a daily sacrifice of human blood. No exceptions.
Once that initial blood pact is made, the tantric leaves Ajitesh with a chilling final warning. He says, "Never forget the crows, because they do not forgive." This right here is the absolute turning point of our explainer. The pact is sealed, the stakes are set, and there is no going back for Ajitesh now.
Section 4. Wealth and Fatal Negligence. At first, you guys, the magic works flawlessly. Ajitesh closes a massive 3-year stuck deal, buys a luxurious new house, and finally sees his wife Sunita smile again. But look at the tragic irony on this timeline. As Ajitesh got richer and more comfortable, he got lazy. First, he forgets to feed the crows one day. Then, he starts doing it maybe once a week. Eventually, a whole month goes by, and he stops the blood ritual entirely. He fatally broke the strict, unforgiving rules of the KAK Tantra.
Section 5. The Crow's Terrifying Revenge.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it visualizes the rapid,
cascading avalanche of Ajitesh's financial and personal destruction. The horrifying consequences of breaking a blood pact manifest immediately. It starts with warnings, a crow calling loudly on his car every day, then a dead crow left right at his front door. But in his absolute arrogance, Ajitesh ignores it. Then the avalanche hits. His business partner commits massive fraud, his Gadon catches fire, and his wealth is completely drained. Almost overnight, the family is abruptly forced out of their beautiful new house.
Broke and entirely terrified, the family moves back into their old, broken-down home. But the horror follows them. Imagine the sheer claustrophobia of this. When Ajitesh looks outside, the house is completely surrounded by hundreds of crows. They are entirely silent. They don't fly, they just stare. And that night, one crow sits at his bedroom window, endlessly tapping on the glass, its glowing red eyes locked onto him in the dark.
The suspense continues to build as the supernatural punishment creeps straight from their environment directly into their physical bodies and minds. A desperate Ajitesh tries to restart the ritual, but the crows, they just ignore his blood now. Meanwhile, his son, who is now 15 years old, goes completely silent, obsessively drawing black crows with crayons until his hands are stained black. Most horrifyingly, deep, black, beak-like marks inexplicably appear overnight right on Ajitesh's own neck.
In an absolute panic, Ajitesh rushes back to the tantric. But when he gets there, he finds the old man half dead, his body mutilated by claw and beak marks. The tantric screams at Ajitesh, "Fool, because of you I am in this state. They will take everything." It's the ultimate confirmation. The curse cannot be stopped.
The story reaches its shocking climax that very night. Under a sky literally black with thousands of crows, a scream echoes from the son's bedroom. Ajitesh runs in to find his 15-year-old suffering violent seizures. Actually, scratch that. It's more like he's thrashing like a dying bird. Then, a terrifying metamorphosis begins. The boy's eyes turn glowing red, his face darkens, and his lips literally morph into a horrifying beak. The son becomes the demonic vessel for the crow's ultimate revenge against his father.
The possessed son brutally attacks Ajitesh. As the life leaves Ajitesh's body, the true horror descends. Hundreds of crows shatter the windows, invading the home and swarming Ajitesh's fallen body, consuming his flesh. Sunita, witnessing this absolute nightmare, grabs her son, who has suddenly fallen unconscious and reverted back to normal, and she flees the cursed house in sheer terror, never to return.
So what's left behind? Well, the story concludes by revealing that Ajitesh's old house now stands in total ruins, abandoned. Yet local residents claim that to this very day, a massive flock of at least 100 crows can still be seen silently hovering and waiting around the decaying remains of the property.
Ajitesh wanted wealth, but he bypassed the natural order to get it, and it cost him absolutely everything. So I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. If a shortcut to success requires a piece of your soul or a drop of your blood, is the price ever truly worth it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this deep dive into the dark side of unchecked ambition leaves you with plenty to ponder. Until next time, stay curious.